Hey guys, welcome back to the 1v1 podcast. I am your host, Vladis, and today I have a very special returning guest. You may know him as the Ashes to Creation guide man. You may know him for all of his amazing TikTok content. His name is Flanker. What is going on, brother?
Uh, a lot and not much at the same time, I would say. I wish there was more. But I mean, in general, everything is fine.
Yeah,
You know.
I want to say that congratulations and great job hosting the EU Ashes tournament. You had
Oh.
some really good turnout. There was like over like 200 people constantly watching on across both YouTube and Twitch. So did you guys have fun? I mean, like, how was it with you guys?
Uh, it was like basically a little bit of context. It was organized by a guild that was established before Phase 3. Like,
Nice.
it was their first, pretty much phase of actively playing, right, as a guild. And I know the GM of that guild, and he contacted me like before that, and he's like, "Well, we have these plans for tournaments. We want to launch the first one, see how it goes, make improvements, and make it like something that happens on a regular basis. Because the state of the Ashes currently, like there is not that much of PvP, and there are a lot of people who enjoy PvP, and they just need a reason to like." Why they're spending those hundreds of hours to grind for the best gear to fight on the spots, etc., etc. And tournament is a very great goal and like a very cool event, to participate in, because it's like one thing when you're fighting just in game over a spot, or even if you have scrims, that's one thing. Tournament is a completely different thing. And I said, sure, like anything you need from my side, I'll be glad to help. And the tournament, like, it was the first one, and I expected like that something will go wrong, because usually uh like events like this,
A lot of
like
stuff
it's
can go
difficult
wrong.
to plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, but to my surprise, everything was like it went so smooth that it was even fucking suspicious, not gonna lie.
Well, that's
Like I
great, man.
expected all kinds of like issues to happen. But uh, I'm surprised by the EU community, because everyone forgot for one day about all conflict, drama, etc. Everyone came together. Like there were people who were traveling across the whole world just to like clerics to come help rest people after the fights. It was amazing. Like the exceptional level of sportsmanship. And even with the like if it's the first tournament, like not like you won't have like a list of 5,000 rules for every specific niche case. And but still, people came to understanding, like we asked mayors to deactivate relics, that kind of thing, and everyone collaborated, and it was pretty damn good. And I'm like, wow, we like it's a very good start and foundation for the future tournaments.
Well, that's awesome, man. I really want to kick off this whole conversation because of course we're probably going to discuss the whole state of Ashes of Creation currently in Phase 3. But I just to start off like very basic with this question, how do you feel the splitting of US and EU server wise? Do you think, because I remember initially it was going to be one mega server again, and then a lot of EU players really wanted their own server. Y'all ended up getting y'all's own server. In your eyes, in your opinion, was that a good thing or was that a bad thing?
So just with a lot of the same way as with a lot of other things, there's like positives and negatives. Because when it comes to having one mega server, the first thing that you need to look at is the whole player base, and it's split, right? Because we still have like a quarter of the full map, but the map is still like already pretty big, right? And like if all players were on the same server, that would be fine. Moreover, it's going to be good, right? Because like the map is big enough for like I don't know, to host like 10k CCU easily.
Oh yeah.
Because if you remember, like back in 2.5, we only had like pretty much June Dark. We didn't have anvils. We didn't have the second starting zone, and we had around 8k players at the start, and it felt okay. Like
Mhm.
sure, first like a couple of days were a bit messy because people didn't split a lot from the Riverlands, but then it was okay, right? Now we have anvils and also more space, and I think like if everything is fine from Intrepid side, for a game like all players on the same server would be fine. But the other thing is performance, because as we may know, game may not be performing perfectly well always, right?
Right.
Sometimes. So yeah, so it's one thing when you like have those issues, and it's another thing when you also have ping on top of that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so but it also varies a lot because the majority of players from phase 2.5 who played, they had like little to no issues, and majority of players would not have issues, something tells me. But at the same time, there are people who are like just saying that it's unplayable for me, like, and they just physically can't play, right? Or they have to, do some stuff on their side to make it work, like with VPNs and proxies and stuff like that, right? So mm, I feel like both options were kind of, they had they could have reasons to choose any option, like either one mega server or two servers, but at the same time, hang on, I wanted to say something. Yeah, at the same time, what I didn't like is their, last minute decisions and then last minute, change of their decisions. Because,
Well,
people
initially they
want
were
different.
they were going to do the one server, but I felt like there was just a lot of contention from the EU side on Discord of like
Hmm.
wanting to like separate. And I don't know if it was because of just guilds they didn't want to play with, or they just wanted to be with, I think it was also the time frame too, right? Because what was it, for the, like, I forgot what the when the resets were, but I know when everything's going on one mega server, you guys get kind of screwed sometimes with certain events or certain things because of the time difference. So I don't know if that played into it as well.
Yeah, it's a bunch of small factors, but when you combine all those small factors, it becomes kind of unpleasant. Because at the same time, like even though we have a separate server now, we have a downtime, which is like 7-8 p.m. like for you time, which is not very fun because it's the peak hours for you. Like I understand why it's happening, and like
Right.
I'm fine with that. Intrepid, I'm pretty sure they will figure something out closer to lunch, but yeah, it's kind of true because we had those issues when we played 2.5 on an A, like on not on an A, but like yeah, sure, with an A. Because sometimes you come to a world boss and you expect a lot of people there and there is nobody, and you're like, wait, what? And everyone is sleeping, but then you realize that they're farming the world boss when you're sleeping, and it's like kind of, you know, uh,
Well,
difficult to meet sometimes. And also the node sieges. I mean, node sieges are whatever for now because they're just a
yeah, it was
PvP
just
event. Nodes are not getting
destroyed.
destroyed or anything. Yeah, so it's not that big of a deal, and it happens not that often, right? So it's not that big of a deal. But still, it's just a bunch of small factors
Okay.
that contribute to lack of people's desire to have one
Well,
mega server. And of course, yeah, there's also the drama element as well, because like people want to kind of stay away from it, because like uh in 2.5 on the tournament, there was some drama before, then there were people actively interrupting the tournament, and it was like not very fun. Well, on EU this time, everything like at the end of the stream, I thanked all the trolls from EU for not interrupting anything, uh, and yeah, it was pretty chill.
well,
So
so I'm just
I
curious,
think
like,
people would just want a little bit of peace, you know.
what about you though? Like what was your personal want? Did you want a mega server, or did you want the separate EU server?
I mean, both options are kind of fine to me because I didn't really have a lot of issues on like playing on an A.
Okay.
Um, I wouldn't like. I didn't like them changing that because originally there were supposed to be two servers. They announced that. Then shortly before that, they said like, "Oh no, we're gonna make one."
Right.
And that was already enough for a lot of people to like say, "Oh fuck it, I'm not playing this." right?
Right.
And I mean, at least we have one more, like, one more fresh start to add to our representative sampling. And then if there's going to be a wipe, we will, like, they will have just, one more case to analyze and see what's going to be better for the next, like, kind of phase or fresh start or whatever is going to happen.
So I guess I want to talk about another. I want to go right into like another like big important topic, right? So there's the topic of economy. There's the
Hmm?
topic of PvP. I don't know what you're more passionate about talking about first. I can talk about either or right now. But like, what's on your mind? Like, what's on your focus? Like right now?
Uh, I mean, well, the main reason why I like playing Ashes and why I'm so passionate about it is because I'm PvX player and I can do both. So for me, it doesn't matter whether we will talk about PvP, PvE, PvX, economy, gathering, whatever.
Yeah.
Just
Well, so I feel like let's talk about economy because I feel
Mhm.
like I don't want to talk like PvP like I'm some hardcore PvPer because I'm really not. I've been doing a lot of stuff on the economy side of things, and with phase 3 came a lot of changes. We got finally the economy revamp that we were kind of waiting for months, and with that came a lot of changes. We have the added vendor reagent. We have higher processing fees, just higher costs in general as like far as processing. We still had static node rarity coming back with the clusters. So that was other huge contention. There's also the quantity of materials for crafts and how apprentice and journeyman are somewhere in the upward of hundreds to thousands of individual materials required. So for you, what's been the biggest frustration for you specifically when it comes to the economy? And, what are you hoping that they're going to fix?
For me, the biggest frustration about that would be like first thing, it's going to be the buildings that are not working as intended. Like they're pretty much bugged, like
Oh, that's
certain
another huge
upgrades.
thing too. Yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of the benches
that's
and
the
stuff.
first thing. The second thing is not like it's not directly about economy, but it's like a side factor that affects it as well. Is the node progression. Because of the broken node progression, you can't have like more nodes, and if you don't have more nodes, you have less stations available to you. And when those stations are bugged, you're kind of trapped, right?
Right.
Um, Also about the economy, the biggest that's that was not the biggest. Now will be the biggest. The biggest was the not the crate system itself, but the fact that it was absolutely, potentially risk-free semi AFK thing that people did to just pump an insane amount of gold into economy,
Oh yeah.
right? Because
Hyperinflation.
yeah, that thing. Because like when it all started, and we just saw people like running in trains, like 5-10 people,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's not the worst thing. Like when people are like playing and using their character, fine, I understand that. But when we literally see people, just like the RMTers doing that, because
Modders.
like EU community is smaller and you always know who is who pretty much, right?
Right.
And you know that those people, like this, and this guy, you will never see him doing anything in game. Like no PvP, no bosses, nothing at all. He's just running crates 24/7 on several accounts and probably abusing the thingy that you can log into your account, like to multiple characters in your account.
Oh
And he
yeah.
just does that 24/7. And it's an RM tier. You can find his profile everywhere. Like, and yeah, adding
RMT's
like
been a RMT's been a huge. I mean, I talked about it in my video. It's been. I don't really know what Intrepid's currently doing about it. I know that because it's like it takes away resources from doing the current job of like, well, what do you guys want? Do you want us to fix stuff or do you want us to go after these RM tiers? Because I feel like right now, because of how small they are, like there is a choice to be made, and I think right now they're choosing to fix the game and and make it a better overall experience. But that also comes with the downside of, well, these, people aren't being banned, potentially. I don't know if they are or aren't, but to me it feels bad when I think a lot of the people, especially on US, there was gear being sold, and there's so many kind of micro issues, right? Like you talked about, like a lot of small things kind of compiling into this like snowball effect. And you remember when they did that hot fix that they increased drop rates for like dungeons, stuff like that. So a lot of people in US got a crap ton of high end gear from drops. And then they made another fix to where they completely gutted and nerfed drop rates. So you had like this division, at least in US, of like having the haves and the have-nots. So you either have the gear, don't have to worry about anything, or you don't have the gear and people are now selling all this gear for absorbent amount of money. Like it was like anywhere between 30, 50, 100 gold. And this was like super early on. It was like the first maybe 2 weeks of phase 3. And I think with that, in conjunction with like the static rarity being in place, along with like people RMTing and buying gold, along with the crates that were being run consistently, it just caused this super high end inflation. And now people are selling gear for like 100 to 500 gold, 2,000 gold. Like the guild cap or the gold cap is 1,000. Like, how are you going to give you mean to tell me you need max gold cap on 2 characters to like get one piece of gear? Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not really honestly too frustrated about it, because it's like, yes, it is frustrating to deal with, but I can just like walk away. It's like, hey, like I know something's probably going to happen wipe wise come November, whether it's like a fresh start, whether it's a wipe to our current servers. Like, I don't care. Like, people always make fun of me, Flanker. They're like, Vlad, I can't take you seriously. You haven't had one level 25 the entire time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, like, because I know, like, I'm not trying to burn myself out. Like, I know there's people that, like yourself, you enjoy going from 1 to 25 as quick as possible, min max with you and your friends or you and your guild. And that's great. Like, I have a guild that I'm in, but usually I play kind of solo and I want to do things at a pace that like I don't feel like it's a job, or I feel like I'm enjoying myself. And honestly, I just don't have the time, dude. I'm a dad, have 3 kids, dude. Like I have maybe 2 to 3 hours like after 7 p.m. my time to play Ashes. And so I have to really dedicate that time to do the things that I want to do. And I feel like if I already structure out my time in a way that like micromanages the game, I don't feel like it's a game for me anymore. It's a job. And I just really don't want Ashes to feel like that, at least not now. Like maybe when the game launches, I'll organize my time better to be more efficient. But it's like, who cares about efficiency? Like, it's a test. It could all be wiped away. So it just doesn't matter to me. But I mean, what would you say about like everything?
I mean, there are different types of players. Obviously, there are more like there are those who are more on a casual side. There are more who are like on PvE side. There are PvPers. There are people who do everything, and they're like absolute degens, like like one in this call, for example, right? But I mean, different people have like different issues. Let's put it this way, right? Because
True.
for people who play a lot, they run into like lack of content. People who don't
Right.
play a lot, they uh, they also like struggle sometimes, right?
No, absolutely.
Because yeah, and you obviously haven't made like the choice you've made in terms of game to cover with the time that you have now was uh,
It is what
a
it
difficult
is.
one. Yeah. Um, but in general, yeah, I'm kind of wondering, like, because I know it's usually not that obvious, and there is something going on behind the scenes in terms of like what Intrepid is doing, right? Because I just look at it and something doesn't add up. I remember like, and people are reposting that clip now of Steven saying like how they're gonna take RMT seriously and that, and and so on and so forth. And the way I look at it, like I know that some people got banned for RMT, and at the same time, I know that much more serious abusers are not getting banned, despite Intrepid having all the evidence. So I already told that a couple of times, so I'll just quickly repeat. So there was a group of players which I was a part of, uh, and like they did the full investigation pretty much about some software that I will not name. That was about like gathering overlay, pretty much, right? So they managed to get in. They
Oh.
got the software. They got the activation code. They learned how it works. They got the info on people who, who were distributing it, who were buying it, etc., etc. Right? Uh, we compiled the full report, right, and sent it to Intrepid. And thank God those people who are doing that are like absolute morons. But it was pretty easy to like find info on them, including their like socials. There were like chat screenshots, like video recordings where they say like, "Oh, I'm selling this," like everything, right? And
So wait, hold on, 1 second, 1 second. I don't want you to lose
mhm.
your thought, but just real quick, because I was memed on. I mentioned this in my video. Burns made a video that said I was going to talk about the static or this, the node rarity overlay, and they said it was a meme flanker. They said that this overlay does not exist. It's just a joke. It was just a screenshot of a meme. Is it actually real? What you're telling me is that this overlay really exists.
Yes, it does.
What? Okay, continue your thought. Just wanted to be vindicated for that.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, we provided some of the evidence that we had at that moment, and guess what? Those people are still playing. And I'm like, okay, if they're banning RMT sometimes, they definitely should ban these guys. But why haven't they? Like, obviously, I'm not trying to, make some conspiracy theories or anything, but I'm just like, I need that explanation because I'm curious as fuck. Like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, obviously, people, some like, Ashes haters would say, like, oh, they just don't give a fuck, that kind of thing. I don't think it's the case. I mean, even though it's, I don't know, like maybe probability of that is not 0%, right? But I don't think it's the case. So I'm like, what are they doing and why they're not banning them? Maybe they're like,
Did they have
detecting players who use.
do you
Huh?
guys have like actual proof with, like, I know you said like you had screenshots, you had usernames, you had handles, like, so all of that information was sent to Intrepid.
What we had at the time, yes, and then when we saw that there is no, like no response from them, we're like, okay, if you don't care, like, why should we, right?
Right.
Because that's the thing with their policy that I hope they will change. At least they mentioned it, that we will not
Right.
be, providing any information about the decisions we make, about the bans, etc., right?
Right.
Because there are like, at least on EU, there's at least like probably 2 guilds, and like you can point a finger at any player, and it's gonna be like 80% chance that guys are M tier, right? Because
Right.
like they don't do anything, they just farm gold and that's it,
I mean, I've
right?
seen.
So.
Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. I
Mhm.
saw, like, the last time I played, there was people going to like this whole cluster of basalt, and it's like, and this is after, mind you, remember the whole dot, the white dot, if you
Yeah, yeah.
turned your back, like, oh, or if you didn't
Mhm.
see a dot, it was uncommon plus kind of thing. Well, I found it to
Yep.
be really weird because I've had other people from my guild, other people on the server tell me the exact same thing, where it's like a huge cluster, and then you have a person literally just run up to one basalt, hit it, go to another one, hit it, and then leave. And leave
Yeah.
all the other, like, they don't even, like, it's not even the fact that they move their tune over all of them. They literally just go to two in the cluster and then
Too
leave.
specific. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
There,
And it's
there,
like,
there.
or go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. There would all even be the cases when someone will be chopping a tree, let's say, and they will
Right.
get attacked. So they like they will attack you, hoping to interrupt your gathering process, or just bop you with something to interrupt it and
Right.
take your tree and then just leave. Like even if you don't have all the info that Intrepid has about the players, you could just see from the player behavior patterns that this is like something is fishy here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
with all the info that Intrepid has, it should be like fucking obvious, right? It shouldn't be that difficult to figure it out. At least something tells me, because you can just see what mats he's getting within an hour, and if it's like, 100 mats and like 60 of them are legendaries and 40 epic, well, something is not right here.
Right.
And
I think, well, with the removal of static node rarity on the PTR currently, I'm really curious if this overlay is going to work. Like, is it? And it really kind of depends. Like, I'm not any kind of a computer engineer guru or anything like that. Like, but if it all predicates off of your own rarity, like the character's rarity, that would have to mean that if I go up to Basalt, I could actually hit it and get uncommon, but you, Flanker, have like 1500 more rarity rating than I do. So you could hit it and actually proc heroic, like off of the same Basalt. So like I hit it, I get uncommon. You hit it, you get heroic. Like that's what I'm sort of hoping that happens. So it's different. But if the overlay on the back end side is predicated off of rarity, it could just work the same way. Like that's kind of like my fear right now is like, well, the add-on recognizes how much rarity rating I have, so then it would look out at all the gatherables and be like, oh, well, if you hit this one, this one's heroic. If you hit this one, this will be uncommon. If you hit this one, it'll be common. You know what I mean? Like, I really don't know how they're doing the weights. Like, I don't know how they're structuring it stuff, client side, server side, whatever, mind you. Like, again, I don't even know. That's way beyond my pay grade. I'm not smart enough to understand that stuff. But I think Intrepid really does need to do something to have it not be visible to the players and have the role. And they did describe that on the PTR, that it's basically a 2-role system that once you hit a piece of or a gatherable, it rolls twice, to see.
Yep.
Like, so again, I kind of hope that the overlay is just kind of showing like green, heroic, common, green, heroic, common, or just like, you know what I mean? It kind of just goes back and forth because it's just like, you don't know what the role is going to be.
Yeah, so I pretty much asked the same question because I was wondering, like, if there was no static rarity and it's like the rarity will be determined at the moment when you're gathering it, that would it mean that the overlay is pretty much useless because it can't show you anything until you mine it? And
Exactly.
someone replied yes, and I'm like, okay, I hope so. Like, once again, I'm
Me
I'm
too.
also not an expert on that, but yeah. I hope it's gonna be the case, because yeah, it's just like, it may be like at first glance it may be like a tiny, like not that big of a like deal,
Oh, it's a
because
huge deal.
like
It's a huge
no,
deal.
I mean that thing with the circle overlay is obviously a big problem
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
it gives an advantage. With that thing like
The circle
everybody
thing is
knew pretty
fixed.
much about the circle. Yeah,
Yeah.
but like if everybody knows about it, everyone is, on the same in
Playing
the same
field.
conditions.
Yep.
Yeah, same. But at the same time, it fucks up the data that they collect because people are having much better gear compared to what they were supposed to have if that thing did not work, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everyone is going to be in, heroic and epic when they were supposed to be in like, rare, right? That also kind of makes the data kind of flawed, right? Which is not a good thing. But
No.
yeah, I just hope it's going to be gone because like there are literally people who are like, apparently mostly more interested in the PvE side of thing and gathering and artisan skills, and they're like, I'm not playing this until static rarity is gone.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's a big deal. And I'm really, again, they did another tuning pass today when it came to the roles. And I played for an hour, Flanker, and I did daffodils. I just did herbalism for this hour that I was able to play. I got like 60 something common, 51 uncommon, and like 9 rare, and no other like rarities. Now the day before, I got like a heroic proc, I got a heroic and a legendary proc, actually a couple of good heroic procs. Actually, I only got one legendary proc, but and that was in within 15 minutes of me gathering. Like once I got in the game, I started gathering immediately, and this is with a crew tool, no artisan gear. So that's how I did the test today. I had a crew tool, no artisan gear, and I only got common, uncommon, and rare. So that to me was like, oh, this is way better, But again, it's super anecdotal. It was only for like an hour's worth of mining, but like I do want to ask you about that, but I actually want to ask about crates, because crates to me is such a huge deal. and I have a hot take on crates, but I, because I personally think, Flanker, that caravans and crates shouldn't reward gold like at an NPC. So gold should come from players, not from NPCs. Like, especially when it comes to the repeatable nature of these two systems. Because the whole attraction is like, if I have a bunch of Weeping Willow that I want to caravan my way to the June Dark or to the Anvils, the whole appeal was like, before we even had Alpha 2 to play, was, well, you want this because it's not native to that biome. So you may sell Weeping Willow, let's say, for 5 gold a piece in Riverlands, but you can sell it for like maybe 12 gold, you know, in the Anvils, right? And I just don't think that Intrepid will be able to, with people like you're describing, like these botters, the RMTers, but even if you take away those people, the people that are playing for 18 hours a day compared to the people that are playing 2 hours a day, I feel like there's just going to be this huge delta of, again, the people that are playing more, of course, are going to get more out of it. But I feel like it's going to lock a lot of the smaller players out that don't have the time to play. And, you know, the argument could be, well, that game isn't for them. I disagree. You know, like I think there should be ways, and the ways of earning gold could be like off of like maybe certain rare commissions that are only available every 24 hours. So you can't like endlessly, you know, do that specific commission over and over. A lot of the one-time only quests that currently suck as far as experience and glint could actually reward a decent amount of glint. So if you're doing a lot of the questing, you actually get like a couple of gold, you know what I mean? And I feel like, especially earlier on, that's kind of severely important, because you think of all the stuff right now for processing, doing like 1 or 2, I would say decent processes, like you're talking a batch of like 40 to 80, you'll have like no silver, like you'll just be broke, like currently the way it's designed. And but if you're like constantly like grinding or doing POIs, or like in your position, you're probably not broke because you're constantly like going to grind spots, or you're doing stuff to like make sure that you're getting the gold. And I feel like it's just these huge separations of like, you know, again, like the haves and the have-nots. So how do you feel about crates and their kind of repeatable nature of like basically just endless hyperinflation?
So there's a lot of points here that you made. So first of
Sorry.
all, it's fine. It's fine. We'll
Tackle it
take
one at a
like
time.
go over them. Yeah, yeah. One at a time. So in terms of crates in general, if crates and caravans are not generating gold, where would you get gold thrown into economy? That's the first thing. Because like selling glint, it's not that much. Unless you are very well geared and you know, you play an archetype that can solo farm a lot, like a fighter, for example,
Mhm.
right? So that's the first thing. Secondly, uh, it is, I wouldn't say caravans are like that repeatable, because with caravans there is risk, and I
That is true.
probably,
That is true.
yeah, so I probably made the most caravan runs in this phase in my guild, and majority of them were solo,
Mhm.
right? So once again, if I can do that solo, then like in current day of age, you can't fight, you know, 1v5. Like you can
Right.
fight 1v1, especially on Ranger. Maybe like 1v2 if you have the gear advantage, right?
Right.
But like basically, if somebody catches me, I'm cooked anyway, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
Uh,
true.
yeah. So if I manage to do that, then you know, maybe other people, even if they are like do not play that much, could still do that as well, right? Maybe
Mhm.
like not 2 hours a day, but like I don't know, 4, let's say, right? Um, and at the same time, when it comes to crates, like crate system itself is pretty cool for a number of reasons that we can go back to later. But uh, the repeatable part of it was at the start mostly, and actually it was at the end as well. Like it's just pretty much AFK running. You just if you're running with someone, you just click follow button and make sure you don't, get stuck anywhere on the way. And that is not good, I think, because it's just
Absolutely.
it's boring. It's heaven for our MTers, and you know,
I don't mind a follow function. I just think it needs to be removed when you have a crate equipped. Like if you have a crate,
100%. Yeah.
if you have a crate equipped, you can't do that. But go ahead and continue your point. Sorry.
Yeah, I literally said the same thing when this follow button appeared. Like it was even before the phase 3 started when they implemented it, and I like wrote it like there's gonna be a trains of people, like 10 people, where one guy is leading the way and 10 guys are semi AFK, and that's exactly what we saw, especially at the start, right?
Absolutely.
At least my guild contributed to making those runs a bit riskier at the start, not gonna lie, because we had a very interesting like positioning. So we had nodes in Riverlands, and there was a node in Valgadim. So on an A, the node is Kaltorum, and there is like more ways to get there, pretty much, right? But on EU, it was just a straight line through tropics with 2 choke points, and we were camping those choke points, obviously. And like on the first day where people were like, clueless, we farmed like something about 150 to 200 gold just from the crates we stole, right? With like within like maybe like 2 hours or something, right? And but yeah, other than that, it's still a very tiny percentage. So like 99 point something percent of runs, of crate runs, were probably successful, And yeah, it doesn't really look good, and I don't think it's the like the right way to do it, because at the start, crates made caravans pretty much useless. Like, unless you're going with a very big caravan and you know what you're doing and there is a low risk for you, you have people to defend it. Sure, caravans are like still by far the best way to make gold, right? But at the
Right.
start, majority of people were like just chilling. They were just running back and forth, and this whole like it's not fun really, And yeah, I think they like what I'm worrying about again, before the potential upcoming Viper fresh start, is that I saw mules already on the PTR, right?
Yes.
And there are mules that can carry 2 crates, and I'm like, okay, how are you gonna balance that with with caravans?
Right.
Because it might be the same thing. Caravans are supposed to be the core, like one of the main and core features. Like
Absolutely.
they require some tuning, sure, because like once again there was some sort of like communication issue on the Intrepid side, because they mentioned something like, oh, some caravans are kind of broken, and they have more capacity, and then they don't say anything at all for weeks. Like, so what are you supposed to do? Like,
Right.
um, right? So
I feel like
some sort of
there's like a
yeah.
risk that's missing. And people have said, oh, well, they can just make it to where when you have a crate equipped that you're automatically a combatant. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't be uncombatant and be carrying a crate. So that way it's
I
like you can always kill someone, you know what I mean? Or be in a kind of combat ready stats of like, I can, be attacked at any time. Cause I feel like, and I don't know if that should be the thing, because both of us know that corruption is completely overtuned, right? So once corruption actually is lessened, like, does it really matter at that point, really, if they're combatant, non-combatant? Because it's like, if you see someone carrying a crate, that's could be some gold for you.
yeah. The thing is, being PvP flagged if you're carrying a crate, I think that might be a bit too much, because like it means that like with the way that majority, like the biggest part of this community sees it, I think they would not be happy about it, because like
Mm.
majority of people, let's be honest, they are not like they're not used to, and probably they're not fans of the fact that some other player can interrupt their gameplay somehow. And
Right.
Ashes is a game like this, right?
Right.
So I think it's gonna be an overkill with like with being flagged while carrying a crate. But at the same time, it might be an incentive to do more caravans because like people will be like, okay, I'm flagged anyway, I can be killed. Sure, this is a bit more risk, but why not like crafting a cheap caravan with like, I don't know, like 6 or 8 or 10 slots would make more sense in that case. But I don't think they will go that way, to be honest, because something tells me they will get a huge backlash from the community, to be honest.
Okay.
But you're right about the corruption, because if like a lot of like I from time to time there is somebody coming up with a suggestion to improve the corruption system, and every time I see it, I'm like, it's not ready. Like, and
Yeah, it's not.
it's not gonna work like this, because I still worry about it a little bit, because first of all, the people will get used to the current corruption, the current way that corruption works, and
Right.
it's gonna be like a culture shock for them when it's gonna change.
Oh yeah.
And the second thing that I worry about is that they most likely took the system from Lineage, and the reason why they took it is because it worked there pretty damn well. But at the
Right.
same time, you can't take the system, make 25 changes to it, and expect it to work well here because it worked there. No, you
Right.
added a lot of changes to it, so don't
Right.
expect it to work as
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 efficient
it
as
did
it
there.
was. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I,
And
I well, do you think the carrot or the crate system and the mule system needs to be limited? Meaning that you can run, let's say, like 3 crates a day, and then after that, there's no more gold that you can get. So it's like kind of like a daily cap kind of thing. And I know people might like, no, 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 but it's like you have to understand that what I'm afraid of is someone who really wants a really well functioning economy is for Intrepid to be able to dial certain things and to be in control of certain things. If they truly make it unlimited, then I feel like what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up being so far behind and you're going to feel like you have to buy gold, because I can guarantee you these botters, these RMTers are going to be doing it, just like you said, 24/7. They'll be constantly running characters back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if you're any kind of a player like myself that only has like maybe a couple of hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, whatever, like if you're not playing this game for 8+ hours, like you're just going to find it to be like, oh, well, to just process my batch or to buy a piece of gear that I want, like I might as well just do it. You know what I mean? And I think that's what the incentivization so far is like. It's just like the economy's gone completely out of control. And this is another reason actually why I want another wipe, because I feel like the data that Intrepid gets and also as we get as players to see is like, okay, well, they made some really good changes now to the economy. Like, I hope they actually further, with the 0.17 and the 0.18 update, which I believe the 0.18 update will be the Harbingers update in November. I hope that there's more changes to the economy as far as like reducing processing costs, potentially reducing quantity of materials for crafts, making the vendor reagents maybe optional for novice and apprentice, and then mandatory for journeyman. There's a lot of feedback that I've been giving as far as like on Reddit and just in my videos and stuff like that. But a lot of people feel like complete opposite. There was a person I spoke with that feels like it's too easy. If you're in a well oiled guild or, even semi-organized, getting 1,000, ash or getting, making a piece of gear just isn't really too hard. But I feel like, and I don't know how you feel about this, but
oh,
oh,
sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead. So what you want to say?
I actually more agree with the last person you mentioned. It's not that difficult at all. And I'm not saying that from the perspective of someone who plays it like for 18 hours, but like in this phase we literally had one like big crafter in the guild who managed to do everything. Like he did everything himself. Like
Right.
like he leveled up all the alts, he did everything. Some of those he leveled to level 20 so that they can use food. You know, when you're like, this is a game not, at least especially now, it's not a game for solo players, it's a game for groups and guilds. Like, you can play solo, but the game really shines when you're a part of a community.
No,
And
absolutely.
I don't think, yeah, and it's not difficult when you're collaborating with other players and you're helping each other. You're doing this, they're doing that, and you kind of synergize together. In terms of like processing fees and the amount of mats required for crafting, my opinion might be unpopular, but I shared it. I think it's surprisingly pretty good, and it's I would even call that a W for a number of reasons. So first of all, the processing fees, like we were just talking about the inflation, and processing and crafting fees are a very effective gold sink that this game definitely needs, especially since enchanting is not what it used to be back in phase 2, where people
Also
spend
true.
an insane amount of gold on that, right? So I think it's pretty good. It may be rough at the start somewhat, right? Until the moment you get level 3 nodes, at least 2 of them, so that you can start running crates or caravans or whatever and start generating some sort of gold. Because like there's not that much gold that players have at the start, because the only
No.
way to make it is just selling mats to the vendor and selling glint.
Right.
I don't think there's any other way, at least to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're
And
right.
after you unlock those nodes and just run a couple of grades, then you're good. You can level up like 1, 2, 3, 5
Well,
artisan skills, and then it depends on what you do next. Either you run more crates for more
so
professions, or yeah.
my question to you, when you were leveling, did you make any super high-end novice gear for your ranger?
No, we were not crafting anything at all. We were like fucking naked, pretty much,
Right.
struggling.
Right.
It was difficult. I mean, I
Right.
bought some jewelry. I think like the novice level jewelry from people who crafted it. I don't remember if I bought anything else. But like if I recall, like we were not leveling very fast this phase, because like in this phase our guild was like in a semi-hardcore mode, because a lot of people are taking a break, a lot of people are waiting. I mean, probably all guilds have that situation. A lot of people are waiting for the content, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so we were leveling like for more than a week, so it was not like 2 days as it used to be
Hmm.
before. And I bought some, like if we were not pushing the level, like and if I was like let's say if I was playing solo or like more casually, or even just solo, right? But with the amount of
Right.
hours I put, I would probably craft something like myself. Like you just look at the recipe, it's not that difficult,
Well,
um especially with the fact that now basic mats are like relatively easy to farm. So zinc is not an issue, like copper is not an issue. Everything is like, if you know where to farm stuff, it's easy pretty much.
and I think with T1 materials, or like I would say T1 crafts, they're actually very effective to make. They're very cheap to do.
Yeah.
But my thing is that we're literally talking about level 0, which is novice, and then apprentice, which is level 10. I don't know another MMO that it would be as difficult as it currently is in Ashes of Creation in other MMOs at that current level bracket. I think people, because we've only have ever had access to level 25, we're treating level 25 as end game, but
Mhm.
it's not. Level 25 in Ashes, level fit 10 to 20 that's not end game. We're not in an end game zone. We're not even anywhere near an end game experience, but it feels like, by the amount of the quantity of materials required, it definitely feels that way. And my whole point is if we're truly going to be level 50 in Ashes, people that are micromanaging or min-maxing, like yourself and others, you're probably only going to ever craft the T1, or probably rely off of the drops that you're getting from your grind spots to level. You're not going to craft a T3 apprentice thing. You're not going to craft a T3 journeyman thing, because you're going to be out leveling it. Why would you do it? You're wasting your time and your materials on things that you're just going to out level. Like if we had access to, level 30, you wouldn't be wasting your time trying to make a T3 journeyman. You'd be wanting to get something T3 master. You know what I mean? And so what I don't understand from players currently is, why are we trying to make things that are supposed to be fun, things that are, again, are kind of irrelevant for the most part? Like, no content in any other MMO from levels 1 through 25 is meaningful. And it's supposed to just be like a fun introductory experience into that MMO. And I think Ashes, in my opinion, is going really hard in that direction of just being, you have to be a hardcore player. And I think that's going to really alienate just a lot of potential people that could actually enjoy this game. And again, I am totally for Master and Grandmaster being, or feeling, the way players currently feel about Apprentice and Journeyman. You know, because there's some players that feel like it's kind of crazy that we're talking about thousands of materials and stuff like that. Now, for endgame, for level 50, even from my perspective as someone who's currently being casual to this game, but I'm playing it, I call it like a hardcore casual, because I want to play this game every day for 2 to 4 hours if I could. You know what I mean? Like, I want to dedicate my time into a game, because I've always said this, for years. Like, I want this to be kind of like my Warcraft. You know what I mean? I want to be able to go in, have progression. I don't want things to be so easily done for me. But I don't understand why we got to be so early and harsh at level 10 and 20. Because once we do have level 50 stuff, and once we're actually doing endgame stuff, that doesn't matter to you. It's not going to matter to anyone else. Like, your level 10 and 20 experience, it should just be fun. I mean, don't you agree?
Mm, Hard to say, because like, once again, I may be biased in this because I come from a different, like, I come from a game where you get punished for,
Logging in.
everything, and
Just
everything is, yeah, and everything is difficult. Like, the way I look at it is, the first change that comes to my mind is that all level 3 nodes have the apprentice stations, which is, I think, like, okay-ish, taking into account that you need to upgrade now journeyman buildings. With the resources, once again, depends on what you craft, especially in this phase, because people were
yeah.
crashing out instantly, and a lot of people, I mentioned that in the video as well, they did
Mhm.
not realize that the rarity of the item that's being crafted is calculated in a different way, right? So you could still craft, like, I was crafting epic level 26 daggers that required 600 copper, and I used 600 of common copper, and it looks scary on paper, like 600 copper, oh my god. But first of all, copper is much easier to get, and secondly, you're just like, okay, it's 1 silver in market, 6 gold, boom, done, you know. And sure, you, for some mats require to be processed, but if you just think like one step ahead, like, for example, I was planning to craft full Akadira set, and it required like 3000 zinc, right, to be converted into like 500 platings or something like that.
Right.
So it's a 3-step processing. So I started buying it slowly. I bought like 500, then 500 again, and I'm already asking my metal worker to process that for me in advance, because when everybody will start crafting that, he will have queues, and I want it to be ready in advance. And this way, like, it will take significantly less space in my storage, and I will not be, crafting with 10 other people
Well,
at the same time.
and that's another
So
huge issue too, is the storage space for your personal storage and everything. If we're talking about hundreds of thousands of materials, our storage can't stay the way it currently is, at least not in my mind. You have to kind of scale with, your tiers, right? If we're being asked for hundreds in apprentice and then thousands for journeyman, are we going to be asked for like grandmaster, like you need 10,000 copper to make a
uh,
great sword? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it's going to be the case. It's just not going to be like, 500 of tier 1 mats. It might be 500 of like tier 2 or tier 3 mats, as a basic mat.
yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be like scaled in a sequence.
Well, I mean, but you
At
say
least I want to believe.
like 500 of T1, 500 T2, altogether, it's going to be over 3,000 individual materials. Like, and right now, like our current storage, like even if you were to get all the different tabs, I mean, we only get stacks of 20 because everyone's using the general storage too, which I've already gave feedback that the nicher storage ones, like the mining, the herbing, the lumberjacking storages, need to be probably as big as the general storage and need to actually facilitate more stacks. Like if I can put 100, like a stack size of 100 of herbs or minerals or trees, that's infinitely better than doing the general storage where I can mix and match everything.
That's true, or maybe it can even just work kind of like I agree with the part that you said about like specialized storages, 100%. But like even if it's general storage, I don't see why wouldn't they add just more like an option to buy more tabs, and not for like 20 gold, obviously, but like I don't know, 5 gold seems to be fine. You know,
Yeah.
because first of all, a lot of people will buy it, and it's an extra gold sink, which this
Right.
game needs,
Right.
right? And secondly, it's quality of life, because like why not? Like I don't see the
I'm for
downsides
it.
of that.
Neither do I.
Yeah, and also same thing can be said about harbors because you can't upgrade your storage in harbors. And I'm like, why wouldn't you just add it? Like it's just
Yeah.
an extra little gold sink and quality of life as well, right?
Or even guild
So
storage too.
mm, yeah,
Guild storage too. I mean, because you would expect that to be a bigger, just a
yeah.
bigger storage, right? Because it's like if you have 50 people in your guild all putting stuff in there, the stack sizes should be more than 20. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
mean,
it should be.
yeah, yeah. It's either a stack size or just the number of tabs. I think
Yeah.
that that might be a
I'd
better
say it's a
thing. But
little bit
yeah,
of
well,
both. I'd say probably a little bit of both. More tabs, but also, I mean, it doesn't have to be exponentially crazy with the stack sizes, but I feel like the cool thing I love about the citizenship is that I would think like if you go all the way to aristocrat, like you would think that your stack sizes would get bigger because you're now more favored with the node you're in and everything like that. You can potentially earn like with each new membership status, you get another tab, right? So you think about all the additional tabs you get, and then your stack size is just getting like even by 20, like it goes from 20 to 40 to 40 to 60, 60 to 80, and it get capped because aristocrat is the highest. And that also
mm,
incentivizes players to actually do node citizenship too.
true. Yeah, and actually, I like that system with the reputation. I
Me
mean,
too. I love
obviously,
it.
there's much more that you can make it a bit more complicated, more benefits, more requirements, more stuff to do to earn rep, and also I wish you could have reputation in more nodes than just your node of citizenship. I mean, they're probably like obviously it's the first iteration, so I would expect the like changes in that part of the gameplay as well. But I actually like the way they did it in New World, where you could have a level up reputation in all settlements, and not only it's like another little loop, like
Right.
little progression, but also it will give you an incentive to contribute to buy orders in other nodes
Right.
more, right? Because sure, you make like you earn 10 node currency per completing buy order normally, but if in your node, if you're like I think it's like the third one, I don't remember the name, the third reputation level out of 4, you start getting 15, and obviously you're more interested to contribute to your own node, which is fine. But I don't see really any downsides to having that extra progression path, with reputation.
Oh yeah. No, me too. Well, I do want to talk about PvP because that's another very big, huge topic currently going on where PvP is basically RIP right now. It's just is dead. Like if unless you're doing some kind of scrims, unless you're doing some kind of organized tournament like you guys did, like it just doesn't really exist currently. And from your perspective, like, do you feel like the Harbingers update is going to bring PvP back? Because I personally think it's going to bring it back a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be in full swing like people think personally.
Well, I mean, it's hard to guess because we don't know much about it. I mean, on the positive side, it can't really get any worse. So anything they do will
That's very
hopefully be
true.
an improvement. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
Uh, at the same time, something tells me actually, I have like, it's not like a conspiracy theory, but it's just my assumption that they were testing these lawless zones for harbingers because obviously they didn't come up with this idea yesterday, right? They were
Right.
probably preparing for it. Um, but we'll see. Like the one thing that I keep insisting on, and like someone told me that they've been testing that on PTR some time ago, is there should be a lawless zone on all world bosses because like it's always pretty much like not 99 times out of 100 it's the guilds farming the world bosses, not randoms, right?
Absolutely.
And with the way that guild wars currently work, like they don't happen that often, right? Because previously, when it was 5 gold, oof,
Oh yeah,
you
it
looked at
was
me the wrong
happening.
way, declared on you. You just like, why are you walking there? Declared on you. You know, oh, you
It
chopped
was.
braidwood, declared. You know, that kind of thing. Now it's a little bit more annoying, I would say,
Mhm.
right? And I think the best scenario for the world bosses is going to be lawless zone, because that's, if I recall correctly, like once again I mentioned that in the video too, it was something that Steven mentioned, that they wanted to make like the world bosses like a PvX event where you're want to farm the boss,
Yeah.
and you also will have
We'll have
to
PvP.
fight other people who want to farm the same boss,
Right.
right? And I think that's definitely the right way to, no, we're good, the right way to do it. And
Well, you know, the
I
current
hope they
lawless
will.
zones are like those little circles, right? So you see the circle on the map of like, oh, this, you know, let's say like the Highwayman Hills is a, you
Uh-huh.
know, a lawless part. I feel like just make, you know, Firebrand or Tumok like the center pinpoint of the circle. So as they
Yeah,
move,
yeah.
the circle moves. You know what I mean? So if like if it does end up moving, so it's like an actual portable, like a literal portable, like war zone. You know, depending on like where it gets moved to or whatever. Because I don't want the meta to then be like, oh, we'll just drag the Firebrand or Tumok outside of the circle. Like I want it to be moved with, if that makes any sense.
It does, but at the same time, they have a reset range, right? So you can't pull them like super far. And I think if the Lola zone itself is big enough, like more than that range, then it's not a problem if that area is static, you know.
Well, so that was the other thing
So
too, is that a lot of PvPers say that the lawless zone should actually be like an entire, like all of Nuela is lawless for, you know, an hour, all of Jova, you know, all of, you know, so instead of a circle, it's not just like a POI like Cephalian or Hyman Hills, it's the entire section of a map. Like what do you say to something like that? Like, because I feel like people really enjoyed when it was an entire zone, like an entire biome that was lawless. I know Zyback very much loved that. Other hardcore PvPers really love that. So, like, where do you stand with that?
I'm not so sure about the whole biome, to be honest, because like mm, I would say the thing is, like, what I think didn't really work well is that lower level POIs, like Highwayman Hills, Oakenbane, and that kind of thing, like Datagal,
Yeah,
because there will be always just people who are high level, who are bored, who will just come and kill the leveling groups because
right,
it's frequent,
right.
And yeah, we actually had a guy who was like, who thought he could pay taxes with stolen glint, and
That's
he
funny.
learned it. He learned that he couldn't, but 6 people died because of that.
Ooh.
And yeah, so, but at the same time, why Carfin is never lawless? Why Forge is never lawless? I don't remember about Steel Bloom, but like it would make the
Oh,
most sense for Carfin and Forge to become lawless from time to time.
no, I agree with
I'm
that.
not sure. Yeah, because I'm not sure about the whole node, because there's like plenty of people,
Right.
like too many people, and especially if it's like a node like Winstead only you, where there is like 80% of population is there because it's a first stage 4 node, then sorry, settlement, right? It's like it's a bit of an overkill, I think.
I just think that I personally think that the way they're currently designed just needs incentivization. I feel like people, you know, think it's too small, but I feel like if all of Remnants was like a huge battleground, there needs to be not only PvE objectives for within that event, but also like PvP objectives. You know what I mean? So you're basically simultaneously having to juggle both the PvP and the PvE. You know, again, the PvX design, right? The thing that we're always wanting, right? And I feel like, you know, there could be events that are just strictly PvP, but you know, there's going to be arenas that you're going to be able to do in military zones. There's going to be dueling. There's going to be things that I think PvPers are really going to enjoy. Like the open seas is going to be a whole pirate island or like a pirate sea kind of thing.
Like a
I,
gameplay loop.
Yeah, like I think there's just going to be, there are going to be things for PvPers. So I don't want to exacerbate certain systems currently because the PvPers are bored. Because also the PvEers are bored. Like we're all bored currently. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lack of overall content that, again, I'm not pinning all of my hopes and dreams on this Harbingers update. I think this Harbingers update sounds cool, but I truly don't think we're really going to get this system completely fleshed out probably by next year. I mean, we're still having to deal with like sieges, wars, the, going to PTR, retesting fixes and changes and things like that. It's not like we're going to get Harbingers in November and it's like perfect. Everything's working amazingly and well. And, I would hope that would be the case, but I mean, let's just go by track record here. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Yeah.
going to be a super fleshed out system. There's going to probably come with a ton of bugs. Right now in the PTR, there was already a ton of performance hits with like the corruption and like the skybox and the certain things. They had to remove that. So I just, do I hope that this Harbingers update is cool? Absolutely. Do I hope it brings PvP for PvPers? Absolutely. And I hope it brings PvE for the PvEers too. But I just think it's, first of all, way too early to tell. And secondly, we're going to need a lot of time on the system to truly get it in a workable state. Because right now, sieges and everything like that, there's still a lot of systems that are offline for sieges. Like you said, like you can't destroy a node, right? There's no rebel state where you can go and find treasures and everything like that. So we're probably going to get a very work in progress Harbingers event. You know what I mean? So, but
Yeah,
hopefully it's
most
good.
likely.
Hopefully it's good.
Yeah, yeah. So like when you were talking about like PvP and PvE like objectives, I was like, well, hopefully you're describing something that we will get with Harbingers, right?
Yeah,
Because it
absolutely.
sounds like, by the way they described it, it sounds like there's going to be exactly that. And will it be something that fixes the game forever? I don't think so. It's going to be just one piece of the puzzle, you know. So we're going to get that content loop, and then there's going to be more and more and more, hopefully, right? So yeah, I think it's like in general, November update sounds like there is finally in like a batch of new and fresh content. But it's not like people will figure it out and complete it as well, like maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in a month or so, right? But I think it's gonna be the first step into delivering what they plan for phase 3, which is actually content pretty much.
Yeah. So like what are you wanting from like PvP events or just PvP in general? Like what are you specifically like waiting for or hoping that'll be iterated on? I know a lot of people are asking for duels currently. Instancing, I know because of arenas and stuff like that. So I'm just curious like what's on your wish list for PvP?
So there's like two sides. Like two parts to this question, I guess. The first one is in-game PvP, and what I'm really hoping for is that they will make caravans meaningful again. Because back in phase 2, when everyone was running caravans, it was like, uh, uh, I never had more fun than back then, and it was not because we were killing all the caravans, but there was like a lot of
Uh,
like objective-based fights that happen randomly, where you
right.
have to look for if you're like scouting or spying on someone, and it was a great loop that unfortunately got fucked up by several bugs that existed, right? And finally those bugs are fixed, but now caravans are kind of like because of craze they're fucked again in a different way, right? So I hope that they will bring back to life that loop, right? And also like in terms of PvP in general, I want open world PvP, fights for the contested spots, etc., etc. And what I don't want is to, every time when you're about to kill someone who is flagged, I don't want to have anxiety and be close to a fucking heart attack because my PvP settings are wrong or something like
My
that.
God,
Again, for
yes.
another time. Because, like,
Yes.
that's actually one of the things, like, you remember a lot of people were complaining that people are uh, going red on the crate runners,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Oh, there is no risk. There is no risk. They're just killing."
Or the bug
Have
for
you ever?
rangers, the thorns. Remember thorns was causing for people
I've
to
read
go.
about it,
Yeah.
and but I learned about it apparently after it was fixed or something. But
Yeah.
that's not the point. Like the point that I'm trying to make. How many of you fuckers have tried to play on a character with the current state of PvP where you can go corrupted randomly while also having blight level 30? When
Oh,
you're instantly level 5 corruption, you drop everything, and even the gear that you haven't acquired yet that's in your storage, you drop that as well. You drop the gear from the next wipe, you play on a U, you drop guild on an A, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
it's like there is a huge risk. So sure, you have a lot of fun, and sure, your full HP, like XP bar is
yeah,
full red because you have XP that like 2 million. But it's not something you see. But there is other side of that, you know, uh, outlaw gameplay as well, right? That you might not realize. So yeah, what I want to be fixed is that, and also I want more open world PvP encounters for the spots, because once again, I come from Lineage, and it was common there. Like you come to a spot, you say like you see people, they're like saying like this is my spot, you're saying like no, and you start fighting. Like you come to the spot, you see three people, you kill them, they bring five, you bring five, and after an
right,
hour, like there are two guilds fighting 200 people, and nobody even knows why it started, but people are fighting and having fun.
right.
And I want more of that in this game. I want more organic PvP happening. Right. What else? Obviously, like arenas, some sort of, maybe leaderboards. That would be fine as well. Obviously. And also, I would like Intrepid to provide a bit more support when we have tournaments, because you know when the tournament was organized, like I worried about a lot of things that could go wrong, but there was a thing that I was not worrying about, is the like I thought we were just like I'm sorry, DM, like the devs, GMs, or like submit the form and
Right.
get like at least flying mounts to cast it properly. And suddenly that ended up being the biggest issue, and I'm like, am I misunderstanding something? Isn't it like log in for 5 minutes, give the mount, and then just 5 minutes to take it back? Like, am I misunderstanding something? Because I was like, what is going on? Like, you don't have like 3 tournaments a day. They happen once in a couple of months. What, like, why? What's that big of a deal? Like, or you think that you will give me a mount for a tournament and I will fly and chop some fucking dragon tree or something like that instead of casting a tournament? Like, I there should be an answer, but I just don't get it. Like, and so a little bit of support for player organized events would be nice as well, because there are a lot of players who were playing just to participate on like in the tournament, and now after the tournament they're like, okay, I'm taking a break. A lot of people, right? And because it was a goal. There was like it gave meaning to all those hundreds of hours of grind that you did before. And yeah, and especially now when there is not much to do in game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully with this content creator program by the end of the year, I mean, that's really
I
all I
don't
could.
think I I don't think I'll be accepted, but
What do you mean you're
it's a
not gonna,
different story.
bro? You're gonna be accepted.
And
You.
I have my own reasons to think I won't, but it's fine.
I feel. I mean, I don't know. I feel we'll just have to see. I mean, honestly, like I feel like Intrepid currently right now is like so into fixing this game. You know what I mean? Like even the responses I get from devs are like so delayed comparatively to like phase two, hell, even phase one. Um, and I feel like there's also there's just been this consensus in the community that's just been growing. This like this very stagnant but also super negative, um and people are like lashing out. I mean, if you look at the past like couple of weeks, Flanker, on Discord, especially in the Ashes Discord, I mean, tensions were super high. Like, I mean, Steven hasn't even said anything in Discord in weeks. You know what I mean? Like, he's been AFK for a while. And I think, you know, right now people
Isn't
are what?
isn't he currently focused on like? Because I heard someone mentioning that he's like kind of focused on his health right now or something like that. Because like
Yeah, he did
of the
he did have a surgery, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yeah, there we
But
go.
literally the day that he had that surgery, he was on Discord like talking about it. You know what I mean? He's never been away from Discord this long. And I think, you know, that probably is just more focus. It's more like we got to get these issues and problems. I mean, the biggest thing on the live stream to me was the fact that they pulled a whole team away from what they were working on to help the economy team. And so, like, the fact that we finally got static node rarity completely dead, the fact that we're hopefully going to get some more changes in the economy, like, I am all for it. And again, I don't personally, in the long term for me, I don't mind people earning gold initially from like levels 1 through 30. And there should be sinks for sure, but they should come later. I feel like we should have more um like, you know, the potential to have like more gold in the economy for people to play with, for people to like actually trade players and buy things from players, um especially earlier on. I do want that, but I think right now there's just a lot of little micro problems with the economy, with like crafts, with processing and stuff like that for super early stuff. And that's why I think it needs to be a little bit more limited. And then once you can then sink it further down, because you think level 30, level 40, you're probably going to have like tens or hundreds of gold by that particular point in time. And then of course your max level, those were like when the most amount of gold sinks are probably going to start occurring. I just don't think they need to occur so quickly and so early is my thing. But I know we're only focused from levels 1 to 25, so people are only looking at it from that lens. I'm kind of zooming out. Like, I'm zooming out looking at the bigger picture here. So that's kind of my thing.
Don't you think that it's gonna end up working that way anyway? Like what I
I
mean
hope so.
is,
I hope so.
I don't think people will be like enchanting or tempering level 20 gear, but they will
No,
for sure do that with level 50 gear.
no,
Because like
100%. I think again, like there's just a little things that are currently when it comes to processing batches, I think that are too high for novice, also for even apprentice and journeyman. I think those need to be a little bit deflated. You know what I mean? I think it's just a matter, and I know by your standards and by other hardcore player standards, you're like, well, it's not even that much. But for me, for someone that can't play a lot, like it is a lot. And then now I'm having to divert my time into having to do these like crate runs just to be able to process like a batch of like apprentice stuff. You know what I mean? And or even a batch of like journeyman stuff because it's like all ridiculously expensive, you know? Like, so
it
I
is,
mean,
but at the same time you don't really need that much of it though.
oh, you
Like
do.
tier 3 stuff.
I mean,
Like
if well, I'm thinking about like an apprentice bag. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it, like so that in itself was costing almost 11 gold on the US server, like initially. Like, I'm a weaver, so I have to get almost like 60 something bluebells to process for one
yeah,
bag.
but you don't craft those. You craft the bags for leatherworking, like from leatherworking, because those are cheaper. They only need it like apprentice, but like there are 3 artisan skills that can do bags. So it's
Right. Carpentry, tailoring,
carpentry, tailoring, and leatherworking.
leatherworking.
So everyone was doing leatherworking because it was just easier. You needed like what 24 gram carcasses that not that difficult to farm. But bags for tailoring and carpentry were much more expensive, if I recall correctly.
It is.
So yeah, you just probably had to like not choose the even more difficult way to obtain them.
Well, I mean,
That's
as someone who's like a tailorer, right? Like, I wasn't a leather worker. I wish I probably was at that point, but I'm just saying, like, there's just certain things that need to be a little bit lessened.
balanced.
Yes,
Uh,
balanced.
balance. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't like. I'm
I,
trying to find a
I,
reason, but I don't think it should be necessarily lessened. It just have to be like. What I'm trying to say
it
is
should
like
be.
craft. What I mean is like if it's easy to craft bags from leatherworking, it shouldn't be like 3 times more difficult to craft bags from tailoring. You know what I mean?
No, for
because
sure.
it was like
For
that.
sure.
And because if all like two other artisan skills that could do bags could do it as easy as it was for leather workers, that would be fine. But with the way it was now, it kind of wasn't fine, really. You know what I mean? So there, but also I was talking about the like tier 3 resources, and the reason why I was saying is usually you didn't need much of them processed for like stuff. For if you're crafting like, I don't know, like a Kadira set, for example, it only needed like one fragment or like two fragments and one ingot or something like that, and it's not that big of a deal per item. For weapons, it was like two processed timber or something like that. At least the weapons that I crafted, and it's also not that much. So does it take a lot of time? Yes. Is it expensive? Yes. But do you need a lot of that? You don't. Because I think I'm not sure which direction they're choosing with that, but maybe like one of the possible, you know, ways that they took it is they will make it expensive and they will make it like, process one tier 3 ingot is 1 hour, but at the same time you will have a lot of ways to reduce the cost with, like, I don't know, citizenship, artisan skill buffs, etc.,
Or even the
artisan
artisan
gear,
talent
artisan
trees.
skill trees. Yeah, exactly. And why that may be a good idea is because you will not be able to have, like, like our guy had, like, he was one man army, he had like 20 alts, he could do anything, you know and
A
so
lot of
that would
time.
make you actually specialize and focus on maybe one or two things, right, that you will
Right.
eventually become a grandmaster in. So you'll be like, you will have two sets of gear, not 20 sets of gear as you have now, right? And maybe that's gonna be it, but I don't know. It's just my assumption for now.
Yeah. I think it's just different philosophies. I think,
Hmm.
there's just people that feel like, for me, it's too harsh for levels 10 and 20. Like, it shouldn't be that harsh. Like, again, I want stuff to feel like a journey and stuff that feels meaningful when I'm at the end game. Cause that's where we're all going to live eventually. We're all going to be level 50 at the end of the day. And that gear is going to be the gear that really matters. So if I have to put in a month's worth of my time because I only play like 2 to 4 hours a day potentially. Like maybe I don't play maybe for the next 2 days or whatever. I don't mind taking a month to make something. You know what I mean? Like, because I want it to feel meaningful at end game. I think stuff currently right now is just tuned. It's over tuned for no other reason than we're just level 25. Like, that's just my reasoning. I think the scaling of which it should be lessened, because as we progress and we actually have like master and grandmaster and all of those recipes, it probably is going to be a trek to do once we're actually at endgame. But I feel like for the most part, you can craft all the T1 materials in every category relatively easily. So if you've gotten unlucky at a POI drop and you haven't got some hands, well, you can craft some tier 1 hands and journeyman and do it by yourself. Like, and Steven also said that too, like every T1 um craftable in any tier should be able to solo craft. Like, you should be able to do it by yourself. Like, basically get all the materials if you wanted to. And
Isn't that true though?
it is. It totally is. So, I mean, again, that's why I'm saying at the end of the day, like, for those earlier levels, like if people want to make a tier 2 or a tier 3, like for an alt, because that's basically where I think those things are in mind. I doubt that they made it to where, oh no, you're supposed to get a tier 2 or tier 3 in your main character. Like, because I mean, because I remember Steven said that you're going to be able to literally use T1, you can use T1 all the way through till you'll hit endgame. So it's not like, because I would hate it personally if they made the world and monsters so hard that if once you level 10, like you have a tier 1 gear, that's only going to get you so far. Because if you go to a certain grind spot, at that grind spot, you need to have all tier 2. Otherwise, you're just going to keep dying. Like, I would hate if they did that personally. Like, I don't think that's the play. I don't want to force the player base to progress each tier throughout each bracket. I think that's kind of ridiculous. I think them keeping it the way it is fine, but I just think once we actually have all levels to play with, I think these earlier brackets, novice, apprentice, are going to be lessened materials wise, just because then we're going to have a better flow. And it's just, it ain't going to matter at the end of the day. Like, cause we're still going to have the stuff to grind for, the stuff to do for master and grandmaster. And those are the tiers that I think are truly going to matter to players.
To be completely honest with you, I don't like games where everything that you do while leveling is kind of meaningless, because it's gonna be like you're gonna be at the end game and only the, like, that final piece of gear or that final set or that final weapon matters. Like, I think, like, personally what I prefer is like where when you know like everything that you got feels like an achievement. So even if I got like level 10, like a piece of level 10 gear, it's cool. If I'm got level 20 piece of gear, it's also cool, because I kind of miss those old school vibes when everything was difficult. And I understand that, like, the modern reality that people, like, not everyone likes that, but at the same time, like, I don't like when everything is too easy and you just, speed run to max level and then only craft that pretty much. Even though I
But isn't that what
kind of
people are
do that.
doing now? Like, I mean, people were literally doing that currently from levels one. Like, people say right now, Ashes is actually too easy. So, like, what are we trying to advocate for? Are we trying to advocate for a harder world, like to where POI spots need certain like gear requirements in order to progress? So, like, if well, we can only go here to level like efficiently, but we get our teeth kicked in because not our whole gear or not our whole people have like tier, a certain tier that is needed to progress. You know what I mean? Like, the game's just not like that. Like, it's
Yeah, yeah. No,
relatively easy.
I don't mean the requirements, and apparently maybe someone is going to be watching and like, isn't that what you do, Flanker? You just speed run to the max level. And yeah, in a game with vertical progression, you will still have that category of player.
Right.
But hang on, sorry, my cat is distracting me by purring, and I forgot what I said because he's just sitting right next to me.
Well, we're
What
talking
I
about
mean by
Hawk.
that is
Oh, go ahead.
like I miss those moments when it's the start of the server and you're leveling and like killing minotaurs in desert, and you drop a piece of gear and you're so fucking happy. And even, like, crafting some level 26 legendary does not bring you that much happiness that you had at the start
Right.
when you're like, you know like almost naked,
Right.
right?
I got white
And
gloves.
yeah,
Or something.
exactly. And I kind of miss those, because
Huh.
the more you play, the less often that happens. Because, like, you're not gonna be that excited when you crafted like already, half your set, and boom, another legendary. Like, okay, whatever, you
Yeah.
know.
And I think honestly, the way, like, as coming from someone who crafts a lot, like, I am completely okay with someone not really going to a crafter, because if you're spending all your time at these POS spots for like 8 hours plus, like, they should be dropping common T1 gear for your group. You know what I mean? Like, they should be. So, like, you should be decked out, in my mind, in all T1 stuff. You know what I mean? And I don't mind that as a crafter. I don't mind that at all. My whole thing is that I do want completed gear to be a little bit more rare. I don't want it to be like raining from the sky, but I think for the people like you that are like going to these POI spots and there for literal hours, I think it's very discouraging if you're literally at a grind spot for 4 hours and you haven't seen a single, like, anything drop. Because that's what's currently happening right now at POI spots. Like, there's groups that are there grinding and they're just, all they're getting is glint. You know what I mean? So it's just like, fuck, man, like, give me something.
Uh, like, once again, there's gonna be, like, on this specific subject about gear drops, there's gonna be my opinion, but my opinion should not be viewed as, how it's supposed to work, because it's very subjective. So personally, I don't really care much about gear drops. Like, I don't care if they're super rare, or I don't care if they're like dropping with okay rate, right? But they should drop something. Maybe not pieces of gear. Like, I actually like the thing with the emblems,
Hmm.
because it
The Riverland
requires you
emblems.
to not only Riverlands, but like
Oh, the
all
essences.
kinds
I
of
was
emblems.
thinking of them.
There's
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
it's
POI
both
spot
of
has
them.
an emblem. Yeah. Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah, yeah. So even if you're not dropping gear, at least like if you're farming Carfin, you drop a Carfin emblem now, and you know that you can sell that. You might not drop a piece of gear, but you can sell that, and that gives you. So you're not just dropping a glint, once out of like 5-10 mobs or
Right.
whatever. You're getting something. So the problem
Yeah.
with the drops is that
Or treasure
you
maps.
only drop. Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe. You're only dropping glint sometimes, which is like whatever, and you also drop items that are super rare, and there is no middle ground. Even glint is like whatever, pretty much, right? So there should be something that fills that spot in between. And with the current chance of gear drops, I think they should be a little bit more often. Like they should happen a bit more often. But there should be something that gives people, stimulation and reason to keep grinding. Because when you
Yes.
only see glint for like 5 hours, it's a little bit
Yes. I mean,
So
you're still getting the end goal, right? Of like leveling up, getting the levels in,
yeah,
but it's like
yeah, of
the
course.
dopamine
But when
effect
you're
is
max
just
level, yeah, when you're max level, you should have a reason to grind mobs,
right.
even when you're hit the level cap already.
Right.
And so that was my opinion. But the way I think it should drop a bit more gear,
Right.
but at the same time, it's also a double-edged sword. So it shouldn't be like maybe you shouldn't see an item that is rare or higher very often. So rare should be rare,
Oh
right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
common and green, fine. Level like the tier 1 stuff, fine. Tier 2 maybe sometimes. Tier 3 should be craftable, I think,
Oh, I
right?
completely agree with you.
Uh,
Tier 2 should
yeah,
be super
because
rare, but T3 should never ever come from a drop, in my opinion.
yeah,
That should
because
be
the thing
craftable.
is, there should be a balance between the stuff that you drop and the stuff that people craft,
Yep.
right? And I also shouldn't judge it based on my experience, because sure, most of the time we're just rushing levels first, and it's not the way that majority of population plays. So for us, like having a low chances of getting gear from the mobs, it affects us probably the most, because the average player is like leveling, like maybe he's like level 15, and here's the first like tier 3 node, and then that tier 3 node, all apprentice stations are available and they can craft stuff already, right? Like at least get a set of like level 13, level 16 gear or weapons, and they can progress further like while having gear, because we had to level up to 25, like being naked, like whatever the gods sent us, because I was leveling with a physical wand as a ranger, our fighter was leveling with a physical book, because we just didn't have anything else,
Right. Right. Right.
and
That's
yeah, we
funny.
were like kind of trying to make it work somehow, but
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely shouldn't judge it based on my experience, because we're not playing like average players or casual players. Their experience is different, right?
Right.
So that makes me wonder, like if there's a casual player, he probably doesn't have those issues, because like by the time he levels up, he get the access to stations. There's already some drop gear on the market that people are selling. I think, and he can spend some time to craft something because he's not in a rush.
Right.
And also I like with the way you described how you play, I kind of envy you a little bit, because you're gonna be you're not gonna speed run it. You will be just
Oh no.
playing it like a couple of hours a day, and like everything that we would achieve like in like I don't know 2 months, for you it may take like I don't know 6 months or something like that. So you will like
Maybe.
extend the pleasure. It's going to be a longer adventure, because even though I usually played MMOs like in a very hardcore mode, uh there was a case when I was playing like Lineage on one server in a casual mode, and I was playing it like as a single player game, like it was just an adventure to me, because it was a classic server that is
Right.
super grindy, and I only got like to level 40 after a month, and it's ouch, my cat is scratching me. um so it was a different experience. I was not chasing anything. I was just doing what I want. I was,
Having fun.
farming these mobs, those mobs. Yeah, and it's a different, it's a different type of pleasure. Let's put it this way, and
Oh
different type
yeah.
of satisfaction. So,
That's how I hope
yeah,
I can play
unfortunately,
Ashes. That's how I
yeah,
want to be able to play Ashes. I MMO launches don't really come very often, and I don't want to find myself in a rat race for racing strangers. Basically, like I really don't care. It's a marathon, you know what I mean, and I want to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them. I also understand too that Ashes is very much a game where you have some serious advantages for being first. Like I get that, totally get that. I just don't care. Like I want to prioritize my entertainment, like my fun. And I feel like there's something really special about, like you were talking about, like whenever the wipe happens, everyone's starting at the same time. There's just like this positivity, this invigoration from the community. And so like I, prep myself with that, that's why like I tell people like, look, I understand what Steven has said and what Intrepid has mantraed for many years before Alpha 2 was like, oh yeah, Alpha 2 is going to be persistent with no wipes. Just get that out of your head, like completely, because wipes are so critically important to data gathering for Intrepid to iterate the game. And the less wipes we have, the less data they're going to have to get it correct. And I would rather them get it correct by them referencing data than them just guessing based off of, well, we haven't wiped, so we just would assume the server is going to start in this kind of fashion. That's why wipes, in my opinion, are good. Now, personally, what I would rather have is to have a mega server where it is more persistent, and then a separate server that is also 24/7 that wipes every 2 months. You know what I mean? So that way you can either choose to play on this server that is very persistent, no matter what bugs, what things happen, dupes. There could be some maybe potential rollbacks, but for the most part, we ain't going to really roll anything back here. This other server is going to wipe way more often. And I think why not do that? I mean, because you can still have the PTR, but technically anything we're doing is PTR. The current Alpha 2 server is a PTR. We're all testing. So,
Mm, so here's what I would disagree with you, at least for now. And the reason behind that is the size of the player base that Ashes currently have.
oh, that's
Because,
also true.
yeah, because I understand why they wanted to make one server initially, like after they changed their mind first, right? Because there is not that many players, and Ashes is a game that requires a lot of players for certain systems to actually work as intended and be tested properly, right? And even having two servers, I see the positives, but there is also a negative. Like we end up having at this point, both servers are kind of not dead, but like semi-dead. You know what I mean? And if we had one server, the population would be higher. Sure, we would lose some people who would not want to play on a mega server. That would be unfortunate as well, because those players are also people who want to play the game or like to test the game, whatever you prefer.
Right.
And at the same time, there's there's actually a reason why I think for the reasons we mentioned before, we kind of agree that wipe it looks like a wipe angle in November, right? But at the same time, I'm not a fan of them keeping this these servers, or even keeping that merging and keeping them and then adding a fresh start, because that will split the player base, and the game needs player base. Like the server needs people,
Yeah.
because the
No,
map
of
is
course.
already huge. Nodes are barely getting leveled, unless it's Riverlands or just one node in Anvils, which I don't know. Was it leveled by the GMs on NA?
And Anvil's was. There was
Mm,
actually some things, forgot what note it was that ended up actually, because there was a UI bug or something. Apparently, they were getting the XP, but we couldn't visually see it on the server or on the game. I think they did
yeah,
manually level. I don't know if it was Nuela or if it was Halcyon. I can't remember, but
and because
Anvil's
the
needed
same
it.
thing, happened on NA. I'm sorry, on EU, because there were players who tried to level up a node And they're like, well, we have a lot of people here doing this. We got this amount of XP according to the apparently data mine info. This is the amount of XP that we need for a node to level up. So we should have earned like this amount of percents, but we only earned like 2, and something
Right.
doesn't add up. Something is not working.
Right.
Right. And yeah, it's like both outcomes would have issues, but you just need to see what's like. It's only Intrepid who can make that decision and see what's going to be better from their side, because they obviously have more info than us.
Absolutely. Well, Flanker, I just realized we've been talking for almost an hour and 40 minutes. That's
Yeah,
why.
yeah, and I just noticed that like it takes. I mean, it's like 5 a.m. here, and even though I slept for whatever reason, it takes maybe people who like if you're gonna see angry comments that Flanker can barely put two words together,
It's
that's
super
probably
late
gonna be
for him.
partly true.
Yes.
Yeah, but I feel like I need more time to process thoughts in my head, and I'm like stuttering from time to time and just completely forget what I'm talking about, right? So instead of saying something in like 10 words, I say it in 30, you know. So yeah.
Next time we talk, I'll try to do it at 10 p.m. my time. That way it's at least closer to 7 and not 4 in the morning or something like that.
Oh man.
Uh,
I
but
just moved to Europe, How difficult could
yeah,
it be,
well, I just want to thank you, brother, for coming on, being on super early to talk to me. I really appreciate it. Is there, you want to, where can people find you? All the links will be in the
I
description,
mean,
of course.
if they want to find me, they will find a way to find me.
Well, he's on YouTube, he's on TikTok, he's on Twitch. Description, if you go in the description box below, you'll see all the links to Flanker's stuff. He makes amazing Ashes content. Go support him, go check him out. And yeah, he's one of the few people that actually streams Ashes content too, so that's awesome. I don't stream Ashes content really because I just haven't really been playing enough to stream it, but I still talk Ashes. I just don't stream Ashes. Is the difference. Guys, thank you all so much for coming out here watching. We are back. 1v1 is back. I feel like next week I'm going to talk to another guest that you guys are really going to dig. So look out for that. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much. And like and subscribe for more 1v1 content. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, guys.